My correct people, now welcome back again to Bod TV. But today the thing is sweet to me for body. Oh, it is jolly me. They don't tell Tinubu say make he return the certificate of no return. No return, but this time he go return am because not being you. Hey, now this story now come dey sweet me, come dey make my body they do jelly. Yeah, my people, not be lay down one though. More evidence they come and say that beaver, they go touch am. Because the system, if you touch am, they go know say you touch am. And so we come dey hear all the past election wey they don't rig, they can't compare the past election to this present one. They come see and say wuru wuru and mago e full everywhere. Now this video now wan bring come all of una make una watch am, una go see the cocoa wey dey inside the cocoa. Hey, this matter go hot oh, e go sweet oh. Hey, who no sabi trouble make e run oh. This one na correct trouble. Hey, my people, oh yeah, make we watch.
Distinguished members of NADECO here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, I bring you greetings on behalf of NADECO and the people of Nigeria. NADECO welcomes you to the first of its series of events planned over the next several weeks regarding the recently held presidential election in Nigeria. For those who are not quite familiar with NADECO, I'll give you a little bit about the group. The National Democratic Coalition, for short, NADECO, is Nigeria's premier and foremost pro-democracy group based here in Washington, D.C. It was initially registered in Nigeria in 1994 by a group of very prominent politicians and pro-democracy campaigners who needed a platform to fight the military regime of the infamous dictator General Sani Abacha after he took power through a military coup in November 1993 and reneged on his promises to hold elections and return Nigeria to democracy, as was its birthright since obtaining freedom from British colonial rule on October 1, 1992. No, sorry, October 1, 1960. Sorry about that. A broad-based coalition transcending ethnic and religious lines was formed, which later gave birth to NADECO in Nigeria. No sooner had NADECO begun a peaceful resistance against the then military leader, General Sani Abacha, started to assassinate and jail its members. In order to save their lives, several of NADECO members fled into exile to neighboring African countries, the United Kingdom, United States, and Canada. In 1995, those NADECO members who fled from Nigeria got together and registered a new NADECO in the United States. Since 1995, when NADECO was registered here in the US, it has continued to push for good governance and credible elections in Nigeria. NADECO alleges that the election results pronounced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, Inec, on February 25 through 26, 2023, are fundamentally at odds with Nigerian election laws and constitute a wholesale disenfranchisement of Nigerian voters caused by the pervasive rot of Nigeria's increasingly kleptocratic political structure. NADECO demands that INEC draw back its curtains to let the full light of truth prove the transparency and veracity of the 2023 electoral process. It is without question that nearly all of the electoral reforms implemented to safeguard the 2023 Nigerian elections have been savaged by INEC and scattered to the winds of tyranny. It is beyond debate that initial investigation into the 2023 Nigerian presidential election discloses that Nigeria's most recent election is the polar opposite of transparency, fairness, and electoral integrity. This election was polluted by blatant bribery and widespread corruption. Even Inec itself has admitted to its abject failures to comply with the requisite transparency laws mandating real-time electronic transmission of election results from the polling units to the public, instead opting to cloak the electronic results in darkness before emerging with a declared rather than proved winner who is presently incapable of being fully embraced by the world. The Inec action clearly constitutes negligence per se and electoral fraud, as it violated the very statutory provisions and guidelines that are designed to protect against the type of fraud caused by its failure to transmit the results in real time. The people of Nigeria are supposed to be the ones the statute is designed to protect. Instead, they have found themselves at the receiving end of the resulting gross injustice. NADECO maintains that the 2023 presidential election is an attempt to disenfranchise the Nigerian people through the four horsemen of democracy's doom: bribery, voter intimidation, insecurity, and vote rigging, all harnessed to skew the results of the 2023 presidential election. NADECO calls upon the people and the judiciary of Nigeria and international community to join hands in a concerted effort toward global condemnation and absolute rejection of the hasty, hollow, and illegitimate result declared by Inec as being contrary to the will of the people and the rule of law. Here are some positions that NADECO has taken. NADECO is gravely concerned about the irregularities, voter intimidation, violence, the breach of the National Electoral Act, and most importantly, the abrupt and horrid pronouncement of the dubious 2023 presidential election results. This, in our viewpoint, signals a whole disenfranchisement of voters in Africa's largest nation. NADECO's goals and singular mandate have always been to fight for the rule of law and democracy in Nigeria as Nigeria's watchdog of democracy. NADECO hereby, as a first step, formally severs its relationship with Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a former founding member of NADECO USA for his participation in the worst electoral fraud in Nigeria's recent history. NADECO and Tinubu fought Abacha as the military dictator who scuttled the will of the Nigerian people in 1993 June 12 elections. Ironically, exactly 30 years later, in 2023, NADECO is fighting the same species of dictatorship, but only this time a much more dangerous civilian dictatorship, a kleptocracy mostly perpetuated by one of those who fought Abacha then. NADECO will not look the other way simply because the fraud was perpetrated by one of its founding members. NADECO urges the Biden administration to withhold any recognition of the product of the flawed elections. NADECO further entreats the U.S. Congress to introduce a resolution calling on the U.S. administration not to recognize the product of the election. It is the product of a poisonous tree. NADECO calls on the international community to support the empaneling of a team of internationally acclaimed technical experts to examine, interrogate, and analyze the Inec servers and beavers and all the other equipments that were used to extract the original votes and information. NADECO implores the Nigerian people and the judiciary of Nigeria, acting in concert with the international community, to join together in a concerted effort toward global condemnation and absolute rejection of the hasty, hollow, and illegitimate results declared by Inec as being contrary to the will of the people and rule of law. NADECO demands that the chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission, Inec, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, must resign or be removed immediately. NADECO urgently requests that all countries worldwide, especially the United States, place an immediate visa ban upon Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. NADECO solemnly exhorts the U.S. to not deviate from its democratic standards in Africa just because it fears competition with China and seeks to curry favor with illegitimate dictators who come to power through bribery, force, intimidation, and vote rigging. The U.S. should come out and condemn the apparent corruption of the electoral process and impose an immediate visa ban on those suspected to have compromised the polls. NADECO demands that President Buhari and Inec chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, should be held jointly and severally liable and accountable by the Nigerian courts and international community for what is currently happening across Nigeria in the days following the 2023 elections and for what would happen in the next few weeks or months should INEC's noxious banquet be forced down Nigeria's throats.
I will show to Nigerians, and I'm going to show some data to show to you what the beavers has brought on board, that the beavers remain a fashion symbol of hope, of electoral integrity that is unequal in our fatherland. However, the outcome of the 25th February Presidential and National Assembly election has been an issue in our country. And largely because just one aspect that had to do with the upload of the presidential elections. Otherwise, and as we go on with this program, every other thing I'm going to explain were as I indicated. However, with respect to the outcome, which is now before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, as well as for those of Senatorial and House of Assembly, House of Representatives, as a lawyer, with the best of our tradition, I will not speak about the issue that have been thrown up. The explanation that need to be given beyond education I gave, the difference between giving education and on the day of implementation, Mike Guinea left INEC since last year. Any explanation that is required by our people, the people of our country, will have to be given by the commission. So I will not go into that area. But the beavers, on account of the fact that we are going to have another election on the 18th of March, Charles, is the reason why, on account of the cacophony of voices, on account of the feeling of Nigerians, I have over 2,500 text messages, and I've got over 1,000 calls about going forward. I have this to say here, that the ill of democracy can only be cured by more democracy. With respect to the beavers, I have this to say, that The beavers, as I said, and I will repeat and reiterate here, that the beavers function, the beaver delivers, the beaver won, because, and I want your station to put up a table to show that from Abia State down to Zamfara, I'm currently carrying out a review of so many things that have happened. And I'm going to use my state, Delta State, where I come from. This is not the table, the first table about yes. Now, the table you are seeing here, if you can highlight it for Nigerian people to see, I told Nigerian people that with the beavers, is going to bring about, we will put an end to the invidious figure that were posted in several parts of the country, where in communities, like I told you people, before the election, over and again, that in the difficult terrain area, any part of Nigeria, either in the upland or in the riverine area, where people used to post invidious figures, that beavers was going to put an end to it. Now, if you look using data, charity but being for home, and as I'm telling you, Charles, I'm carrying out an overview from Abia State to Zamfara, so that we can put live to some historical use of data during the election in our country. With the table you are having there, I am from Delta Central. We have 3 districts in Delta. And I decided to bring out some preliminary figures that I'm still looking at to show to the whole world what Beavers has done for integrity of the votes, the number of accreditation. You will see that from 2011, if you look at it, the figure posted there in 2011, you will see the numbers that are posted in that particular table that you are looking at. In 2011, Ethiopia West, I am from, I'm an Roboman. So I'm using my own area to show that what is unacceptable in my area is also unacceptable in any part of data, detailed across the country. And that's why I'm doing that review. And I'm going to bring out data so that we can bring sanity to our electoral process. Now, if you look at that table, Charles, in 2011, Ethiopia West will post 17,335. It cannot, that's another central district I've taken each from each of the international districts. They posted 14,360. Warri Southwest posted 50,933. You will check the rerun of 2011, you see the figures. You check out of 2015, you see the figures. They keep increasing because we are in a country where if you become a House of Assembly member, you are a governor, suddenly in the next voter registration, the number of registrators in your figure will now balloon because they were rigging elections. Now, this is what Beavers have done. In 2019, the last election just conducted, look, in my own fatherland, the area of Delta where I'm a Roboman, a place that posted 62,044 in 2019 election with the Beavers that have brought integrity, sanity. The figure today is now 4,403. Similarly, and there's a big question mark with respect to Ika Northeast. There are things going on there. That posted 67,000 plus in 2019. With the regime of Beavers, the figures are now 60,696, which is not correct. I told you that preliminary figures. But look at what is Southwest. That posted 139,534 in 2019. And they just concluded the election. They posted 3,103. What am I saying here? Charles, in our program, I told the whole world that with Beavers, that those who think that automatically the Senate will be a retirement home for outgoing governors, that was not going to happen. I'm not saying that if you are a governor and you intend to go to the Senate, that you cannot go to the Senate. But before now, without the beavers, having disabled corridor and what it did with corridor, with beavers, it is clear that the dinosaur experience I spoke about have occurred. Furthermore, who would have believed that an Okada rider will win an election? It is the beavers that has brought that to bear.